Have you ever had someone tell you that you just need to let go of the past? I know I have. Let it go. Move on. Stop thinking about it. What's done is done. It sounds simple. The problem is, for much of my life, I couldn't do it. As I've talked about before, my childhood was complicated. I was abandoned as a baby, spent time in foster homes, and eventually ended up with a wonderful French-Canadian family who raised me. They gave me a home, and I'll always be grateful for that. But there were things inside me I didn't understand. I didn't know where I came from. I didn't understand why I'd been abandoned. And when you're a little kid, you don't analyze those things. You just feel them. And then you start creating a story about what they mean. For me, I think that story became, maybe I wasn't wanted. Maybe I didn't belong. Maybe I was on my own. Nobody actually told me those things. But somewhere along the way, I started believing them. And I carried those beliefs into adulthood. I went to school, got married, raised a family, worked for the government, and tried different careers and businesses. From the outside, I was getting on with life. But underneath it, there was still anger, frustration, fear of rejection, and this feeling that I constantly had to prove myself. When things went wrong, I could react very quickly, sometimes much more strongly than the situation deserved. For years, I thought, well, that's just who I am. I had a temper. I didn't like authority. I could be defensive. I didn't always trust people. But as I've gotten older, I've started asking a different question. What if those things weren't simply my personality? What if they were connected to a story I'd been carrying since childhood? And that's where my understanding of healing began to change. Maybe healing isn't about saying, that happened, forget about it. Maybe it's saying, yes, that happened. How did it affect me? What did I come to believe because of it? And do I still need to believe those things today? That's a very different conversation, because now you're not fighting your past. You're trying to understand it. One of the biggest changes for me came much later in life when I finally learned more about my biological parents and why I'd been abandoned. By then, my father had passed away and my mother was ill, so I never really had the conversations with them that I would have liked to have had. But learning more about their circumstances changed something inside me. It didn't change the past. I was still abandoned. I still went through foster care, but I could finally see what happened through different eyes. For most of my life, I've been looking at the story through the eyes of the little boy who experienced it. Now I could look at it through the eyes of an older man who understood that life is complicated. People go through circumstances we know nothing about. And sometimes what we believed was about us wasn't really about us at all. That realization helped me release a lot of anger. I didn't erase my past. I think I finally started making peace with it. And there's a difference. Today, when I think about that little boy, I don't want to get rid of him. He's part of me. His fear is part of my story. His anger is part of my story. But so is his determination. So is his ability to keep going. Somehow he grew up, built a life, raised a family, kept learning, and eventually started understanding himself. I spent so many years looking at what my past had taken from me that I didn't recognize what it had also taught me. Resilience, empathy, curiosity, and maybe that's why I'm sitting here talking to you today. I'm not here because I figured everything out. Far from it. I'm still learning. But maybe healing isn't about becoming somebody completely different. Maybe it's about understanding why you became the person you are. Not excusing everything. Not pretending the pain wasn't real. Just understanding it. Because when your understanding changes, the meaning of your past can change too. I can't go back and give that little boy the answers he needed. But today, I can give him something else. Understanding, compassion, and forgiveness, including forgiveness for myself. So let me leave you with a question. What if the part of your past you've been trying so hard to get rid of doesn't need to disappear? What if it needs to be understood? Instead of asking, how do I let go of this? Maybe ask, what has this been trying to teach me about myself? Because maybe healing isn't forgetting where you've been. Maybe it's being able to look back without allowing yesterday to decide what happens tomorrow. Your scars can remain part of your story without remaining in control of your life. It took me a very long time to understand that, and I'm still learning. If conversations about our past mindset, healing, and understanding ourselves resonate with you, consider subscribing to Inner Mind today. We're not trying to become perfect here. We're trying to understand ourselves a little better, one conversation at a time. Take care of yourself. God bless. And I'll see you in the next one.